Welcome back to the Fourth Way Podcast. Today we are continuing our series, The Sermon on the Mount. As a reminder, the format is that I will be reading a sonnet I wrote as part of my children's compilation, and I will then expound on the poem and discuss. The third sonnet I wrote is represented by the gem turquoise. It covers Matthew 5:17 through 20, which talks about fulfilling the law, and Matthew 6:5 through 15, which is the Lord's Prayer. For your reference, so you can kind of have some imagery as we go through, turquoise is a turquoise color. Supposedly, it warned of impending danger by changing its color when enemies or threats were nearby. And it also supposedly imparted protection to its wearer. So let's go ahead and jump into the poem. In past, fire rained down from the heavens, God's judgment administered to the damned. Coals of fire only way to God's presence, to law, judgment, and pain God didst remand. But no asceticism like Tolstoy's could ever protect us or deliver us. An even totem of heavenly turquoise becomes debased as sin effloresces. Where then can we look for our Perusa? We look to him whose eyes are flaming fire, and patiently await Perusia, when Son of Man exacts all that's required. With confident boldness we now then pray, seeking God's kingdom come until the day. In the first stanza, we'll begin with the first stanza here. Most people have a pretty bleak view of the Old Testament. God would frequently punish, and he would judge very harshly. We see in Isaiah 6 that even Isaiah had to have a hot coal placed on his lips to enter into God's holy presence. So in the first stanza, I set up kind of God's holiness and the danger that poses to us, and just how extremely holy and how, in contrast, extremely unholy we are. Then I move into the second stanza. And when I wrote this poem, I hadn't really read Tolstoy before writing this. And so when I read a little bit about him, people talked about how he was into like asceticism and how he was very, he came across to me as kind of like an extreme monk, a moralist kind of guy. After listening to his book on Scribd, though, I have a newfound respect for him and actually really like him a lot. But anyway, just consider that he is an ascetic to a lot of people. So I'm going to use him in order to say that even the most extreme human holiness can never protect us or deliver us from evil. God is extremely holy. We saw that in stanza 1, and now in stanza 2 we're realizing that he is so holy that there really is nothing to protect me from my own sin or his wrath or whatever you want to call it. And even spiritual totems, or turquoise, which promises to be a gem of protection, has no ultimate power. As all of us sin, debasing our souls, and our totems effloresce, which, if you look in this stanza, you'll see that I try to use a lot of chemistry sorts of terms. I think it's this stanza, right? Effloresce is a chemistry term, and I talk about how it debases, right? Bases is a chemistry term. Asceticism, right? It looks very much like acetic acid. So you just have all of these kind of like allusions to the chemistry that's going on here, and to the change. Get to the third stanza, and Perusa was a Persian word associated with turquoise, which means victory. So if you have turquoise and it protects you, then you're more likely to get victory. They often wore it on weapons and armor. Our victory, however, doesn't come in totems or in a spiritual totem of asceticism or in physical weapons. It comes in the Son of Man, Jesus Christ, whose eyes are fire and sword comes out of his mouth. We patiently await the Perusia, a word which looks very similar to perusa. Our victory comes with Christ at his coming, which is what perusia means. So in the perusia, there is perusa, as not as our totems are destroyed, but as our ultimate victor, Jesus Christ, a living human being, is our hope and victory. It is because Jesus Christ was the true human and fulfilled God's law that we can have hope in his power. But he is not only our victory, he is our access to God. Because of Christ's intercession and incarnation, we have access to the throne of God. Thus, when he says to pray like him, we can, because we are his brothers and sisters, God's sons and daughters. As God reigned over Christ, so he reigns over us, and we acknowledge that in prayer, submit to that in our lives, and hope for that in our victory. This is the kingdom lived out today. That's all for now. So peace, and because I'm a pacifist, when I say it, I mean it.